What's up YouTube? Pokemon Go is finally here in Malaysia and it's time to dust off an old obsession and get hyped up again to catch 'em all, in a modern new way. I'm Adrian from Game Reviews Malaysia and it's time to hide the Pokemon fan in me and bring out the video game critic. Our first week review of Pokemon Go begins now. Pokemon Go is a free-to-play GPS-based augmented reality game by developers Niantic, who were also responsible for a similar type game called Ingress. In Pokemon Go, players use the GPS features on their mobile phones and tablets to locate, capture, and battle gyms with Pokemon. The concept of the game is pretty simple and very much based on the appeal of real-life exploration and adventure, with the payoff being that you get to feed your nostalgia by discovering and collecting Pokemon in the real world. So how does it all work? You begin by creating your character and you're able to customize how you look. Once in-game, the app takes your location into consideration and places Pokestops, gyms, and wild Pokemon around you. Your adventure thus begins, and you're free to get out of the house with your friends and family to the mantra of gotta catch 'em all. When in proximity, Pokemon appears on your map and you can tap it to attempt to catch it, as the game makes use of your phone camera by placing the Pokemon in the backdrop of whatever your camera is capturing. The objective is to then throw a Pokeball at the Pokemon, and if you're successful, you'll be adding the Pokemon to your collection as well as unlocking its Pokédex entry. At release, only the original 151 Pokemon from the Kanto generation exists in the game, but there are some missing presently such as Mew, Mewtwo, and the 3 legendary birds Zapdos, Moltres, and Articuno. Catching Pokemon and doing other activities in-game will earn players experience points, and the higher your level, the more diverse and better quality the Pokemon appearing around you will be. Pokemon themselves do not have experience points, but their value is measured in combat points, aka CP. The higher the CP, the better the Pokemon performs in gym battles. At level 5, players are able to battle at gyms and join one of 3 color-coded teams. There's Team Instinct, Valor, and Mystic, and they serve as factions for players. Players of one team can take and hold a gym for a Defender bonus, which earns you Pokemon coins, an in-game currency that can be used to buy convenience items in the in-game store. The opposing teams can challenge the gym, lowering its prestige rank through gym battles, and finally, knocking out the previous team to settle in. The battles are a straightforward one-on-one with your chosen Pokemon and the defending Pokemon of the gym. As the attacker, you'll be facing an AI, and all you do is tap to attack, swipe to dodge, and hold for a finishing move. It's important to note that for gym battles, attack movesets and individual Pokemon stats do matter. Finally, there's the Pokestop, which serves as a station to replenish Pokeballs and potions, and these Pokestops in gyms could be anything from your neighborhood playground swing or even the gas station depending where you are in the world. Now that we've given you a very comprehensive overview, let's take a look at the pros and cons to try and decipher the greatest mobile game phenomenon of our current generation, with the hope of answering if it's a game that's worth playing. The pros. Free to play. Pokemon Go launched as a free-to-play game, and that's always going to be a pro, especially for such a big IP. As always, there's a catch, and as we mentioned earlier, the game does have microtransactions, selling Pokeballs, lure modules, and other convenience items for real money. The reason we're letting this one slip is because you can earn Pokemon coins in-game to buy these items. Community and social aspects. The game is neither groundbreaking or revolutionary, but the effect it has had on people has been pretty significant all around the world where it's been released, and especially here in Malaysia. For a country with so much shit going on, it's great to see how Pokemon Go seems to be bringing people out together to share the experience in ways that the previous handheld titles never could. Simplistic. It's all really easy to understand and sink your teeth into, as Pokemon Go functions on the very basic premise of gotta catch 'em all, and that appeals to the Pokemon collectors within every Pokemon fan while falling back on the sense of exploration and adventure. The mechanics allows everyone from kids, filthy casuals, and even the grandparents to take part in this Pokemon resurgence. There's ingenuity in its simplicity, but that simplicity could be its undoing. The cons. Not inclusive. For being considered the most popular mobile game in recent times, Pokemon Go is hardly inclusive for those who cannot meet the physical demands the game requires, which is of course walking around to catch Pokemon. The game does nothing to accommodate the physically disabled or those who live in extremely rural areas far away from Pokestops, Pokemon, and gyms. Weak endgame. Once you've hit level cap, collected all the Pokemon and grinded up your highest CP Pokemon, what's there left to do? Well, for now, you and your team get to run around town to dominate gyms for Pokecoins. And that is really it. While the gym play can get competitive and fun, it really does get old, depending on your location, some teams have bigger advantages over other teams who may not get to hold a gym long enough to reap the rewards before being kicked out in a matter of minutes. It also sucks for newcomers to log in for the first time and see their local gyms occupied by level 30 plus players with 3000 CP Dragonites. The frequency of us seeing this in-game leads us to poor anti-cheat mechanisms. Yes, that's right, we were shocked that on the first day of release here in Malaysia, there was already a capped gym occupied by high-level players with matching rare Pokemon, and it's unbelievable that this can be achieved in 2 hours legit. Botting, spoofing, and sniping are very common, and the repercussions are pathetic. Niantic's reluctance to wield the banhammer more often on cheaters is severely ruining the experience for many, and we fear that by the time the waves of banning arrives, the cheating would have spread too far and wide and the damage can't be reversed. Only time will tell. Lack of features. As this review gets published, some of the things we're about to discuss should already be in beta or development over at Niantic. However, we're reviewing this from the initial release. Hype and nostalgia can't hide the fact that Pokemon Go is a game that's seriously lacking in features. The game could be significantly enhanced with the addition of trading between players, non-gym PvP, and maybe even a team rankings leaderboard in-game and out. The game also criminally abandons the aspect of training your Pokemon to allow them to grow with you over time. Instead, players have the options to power up Pokemon to a certain threshold but end up discarding them at higher levels due to finding the same Pokemon with a higher CP. That just makes all your earlier catches and starter Pokemon obsolete and introduces you to the dust and candy grind, ultimately facing the fact that there's really not much to this at all. Our verdict. Overall, Pokemon Go is just one of those games that come by every decade or so that needs to be experienced, so you can tell your kids, grandkids, and their kids that you were there to play it. If you're a Pokemon fan, we do recommend checking it out with your social groups for maximum fun and banter. It's a simple, somewhat addictive, and socially fun game that could have been so much more. To live up to that hype and potential, Niantic needs to add popular features that players have been asking for, or it could fade into obscurity. That being said, should they leave the game in the current state that it's in, the millions of die-hard Pokemon fans won't be leaving the game, but the gamers wanting a good Pokemon game will. We're giving Pokemon Go a score of 6 out of 10. And that wraps up our review of Pokemon Go. We'd like to give a shout out to Kevin, a good friend of ours, for helping us with the review. If you liked our content, do give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more game reviews. Once again, I'm Adrian from Game Reviews Malaysia, and we thank you for watching.